Want me to record it on this side
No,
too?
I'm recording it.
Oh, I thought, well,
It's
maybe if I
recording.
put mine on too, then we
No, it's
have
recording
it.
now.
Okay.
Okay, so Patty, go ahead and introduce yourself and your channel and whatever you like to say to start.
Well, hi, my name is Possum Patty or Pat Catucci, and I have a YouTube channel, Just Journaling with Possum Patty, and I do nature journaling and art journaling and junk journaling and memory keeping journaling, and you can see all the journals on the shelf behind me right there.
All right. Now, last time we started with your showing the Halloween journal. Was that the one you were showing, or you started by showing a journal? So go ahead and dive in because I have something to
Oh
say.
my God.
I have something to say about Trash Tuesday.
Trash Tuesday. Well, I think the last time we talked, I was probably working in my October journal,
Mm-hmm.
and I, I was working on these pages from the state fair, and I think that's what you wanted to talk about. And
Well,
I used
what
all,
I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to start with, and what I had started with was a summary of pop art
well, the summer.
because because um your journals, the Trash Tuesday journals, and even the Flower Journal, which I hope on the big trash journal that you were
Oh
working
yeah,
on.
I've got them right here on the table.
Right. It says pop art's refreshing reintroduction of identifiable imagery drawn from media and popular culture was a major shift for the direction of modernism, with roots in neo-dada and other movements that questioned the very definition of art itself. Pop was birthed in the United Kingdom in the 1950s amidst a post-war socio-political climate where artists turned towards celebrating commonplace objects and elevating the everyday to the level of fine art. American artists Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein, James Rosenquist, and others would soon follow suit to become the most famous champions of the movement in their own rejection of traditional historic artistic subject matter in lieu of contemporary society's ever-present infiltration of mass manufactured products and images that dominated the visual realm, perhaps owing to the incorporation of commercial images. Pop art has become one of the most recognizable styles of modern art. So to me, your work is the perfect example of pop art. And the ones that are great examples of it are Trash Tuesday
That's
junk
Tuesday.
journal. And the difference here is that a lot of art journal people will say, uh, make reference to, and you can journal here. And I don't think you do that. You bring to your journal a combination of art journaling, pop art journaling, the everyday object, and so I think they're a good example of pop art. So take it away.
Well, I had collected a bunch of brochures and pamphlets and things from the state fair, and I used them in my journal. And it's like taking commercial art from advertising, and using that as the art in the journal. It's funny, I just got an email from one of those artists we were talking about the last time, Joanne Sharp, and she was talking about outside artists. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
Yes, I have. But usually those are people, the outsiders are people who have like some connection to emotional problems or
Oh,
go
and
ahead.
she's talking about people who don't have professional art school training, who aren't using conventional art methods, like, oil painting or something like that. And so they're sort of like outside conventional art. They're sort of self-taught and using whatever they find to produce art, not to sell and not to make for other people, but for themselves as the process of creating art. And I think, and she related it to journaling. And I think that really describes my type of art making, journal making altogether, because I'm not making it to sell. And I really get involved in the process of making each page. So it's sort of like art for myself, not, art for the masses. It's just, but I love to take the commercial art. And if art is good for the soul, and it's the natural world, bringing the natural world and your soul together, and junk journaling, you're taking the commercial art or the built environment and incorporating it into the natural world. It's sort of like I do both of that in my journaling. So I do, and I take nature and everyday items, because I use packaging like from food and envelopes from junk mail, and I call it cosmic smashing, and I cosmic smash it all together, and I'm creating a journal of like my life. So it's like my daily life. I've used this product, and now that product packaging is in my journal, but then I'm journaling about things like in nature surrounding me, and I just kind of smash it all together.
So we'll title this Cosmic Smashing.
Cosmic smashing. That is, I love the cosmic smash. So I had taken many different things, like see this donut down here at the bottom. That's from a donut packaging, and I've incorporated it into my daily journaling. And this is about Roseland Cottage, which is a place you can go visit in Connecticut. So, and these are just a bunch of brochures. When we go to our state fair, now our state fair is Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. It's like a New England state fair. So I have a page from each state in here, and each one. So here's a advertisement for eclairs over here, and I made that into a journaling pocket. And there's an apple there from the orchard, and I did my journaling on the back of there. So I smash everything together. Now the Trash Tuesday one is made out of a gift bag. And it is full of envelopes and paper bags. And this one is not so much journaling, like, writing down about a particular event that has happened, but this is a grocery store bag from Whole Foods, and it's black and white, but I painted it in green. So the painting on here is my painting, but the outline of the artichoke was already on the grocery bag.
You're breaking up a little bit. I don't.
And then this is from a calendar. You see?
Mm-hmm. I
And
see
just
the bird. Where does the bird come from?
the bird, this bird is from, that was from a magazine, actually. And then this was from a calendar. And so here we have the top of a blueberry box. And this blue plaid down here is from a butter box. I think that's Cabot butter. And this is magazine over here on the other side. And this is from inside of a chocolates. When you buy a box of Russell Stover chocolates, you get this like quilted plastic. And I turned that into what we call a belly band, which holds a journaling card. And the journaling card is made from a cookie box. Goody Girl cookies. And then on the back, I have a couple of things just collaged together, some images there. So this is just completely just having fun with colorful packaging. Oh, so it's like, I have so many things on my table, sorry. There's an empty tissue box. See, I've trained my husband very well, so he won't throw this in the garbage. So he puts it aside, and look at the beautiful scenery on this tissue box.
I see.
So this may not be what they call high art, right? It's gorgeous. And, why throw that in the garbage when you could cut this and make a journaling card and put that in your journal?
When you were
The only
talking before, you had talked about your influences. Do you still have those books around that you?
Yes. I never put them away.
You might want to refer to them. I'm really interested. I was very interested in the books themselves. You were going to send me a list. I, of course, don't have any piece of paper.
That's why I never put them away, so I can make a list of them.
Okay,
so you can incorporate
let's share them.
So you want to go back to the beginning then?
I do. I want to see Trash Tuesday, but I also want to see your influences or where you're coming from when you journal.
Well, it's kind of a long story, starting with nature journaling. And I have a master's degree in environmental education, and I was interested in doing nature journaling projects with adults and children. And I started looking into a few people who do nature journaling. And I believe the first one was Claire Walker Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got this journal, and then I ran into a woman one day, and I was at a workshop, and she had a journal open on the table, and it reminded me of Claire Walker Leslie's work. I said, I want to talk to you at lunchtime. And we got together, and she had taken a workshop with Claire. And so her nature journaling kind of, reflected how Claire taught nature journaling. And then we became best buddies as far as nature journaling is concerned. And it's just about sketching and keeping a record in a journal about everyday things in the natural world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As leaves fall out of the journal, right? And then I found Kathy Johnson.
Is that Kathy with a K or a C?
That is Kathy with a C. Kathy Johnson. And both Claire and Kathy have multiple books on nature journaling and journaling. Now, Kathy Johnson's a little bit different in that in her nature journal, she will journal about people and places she goes. So it's not just nature observation. She includes everything. She said she'll throw in her grocery list. It doesn't matter, because she believes that the built environment and nature should be combined as one, and that nature is not separate from our life. Nature is our life. So she puts it all together. And I really like that idea of not just having a journal with just nature in it, but if she goes to a family event or something like that, she'll include that in her journal too.
So that's cosmic smashing.
So she's smashing. Yeah, she's smashing all the aspects of her life together. So when that pop art description talks about the built environment and the natural environment and putting everything together, it's kind of like what she did. And I did take a workshop with her, but it was online, so I didn't get to meet her. And then I found Danny Gregory. Now, Danny Gregory is a co-founder for Sketchbook School, and that's with a K. I'll send you all this stuff. And he has multiple books on journaling too. This one is Art Before Breakfast, which is a fun one. And then he has the illustrated life. And this one contains a whole bunch of different journaling people and how they journal their life. So then I got into sketching and doing a little bit of art journaling. And it's just simple little things that, recording everyday life and how you can put them in your journal and
Now, whose
supply
book is
things.
this? Danny Gregory's or?
This is
Yeah,
Danny
Danny
Gregory.
Gregory. Okay.
Yeah. So I took a bunch of art courses online. Now his art courses aren't like art school art courses. They're more like being part of a community and having activities to do together and ideas and what to put in a journal. And yeah, so then I started putting other things in my journals too. So those people were really big influences on my life. And then when I was doing art journaling, I found Joanne Sharp. And I took some courses with her too. So these are in-person workshops or online workshops that I've taken with these people. And then I have their books. And this was, I just loved her style. Just very free and kind of natural. And she does a lot of lettering. So I thought this would be good for journaling because it just shows you different ways of, writing in your journal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that, basically, and then with my nature journaling, one of my big influence was John Muir Laws. He also has several books. I did take an in-person workshop with him, but he's over in California, but he did come to the East Coast a couple of years ago, and I took a workshop with him. And this is more of a he's more traditionally trained,
And this has to do with all this nature journaling and having workshops with the people has to do with the last job you had, which had to do with teaching kids about
I was
nature.
an environmental educator, and I worked at I worked for a conservation district, and then I worked for conservancy, volunteered for conservancy, and I worked at nature centers, like state park nature centers in Pennsylvania. Ned Smith Center for Art and Nature, I did some workshops there. So workshops all around Pennsylvania, we were doing nature journaling. And basically we just get a couple of people together and we just go out in nature and just basically teach observation and using all your senses and recording what you see in the journal. Very simple. And this was my very first journal right here. The very first journal that I started with out of all the ones that I have all over the house. And it is so simple. There's like one little sketch of an acorn and a little bit of writing. So this is like my very first journal page ever right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a lot of writing. But a couple little tiny sketches, almost like I was like too timid to put something down on the paper. But after, it took years, let me tell you, because this was like 2007, I think I did this. And just being influenced by these people, and you've got to kind of like get loose. You got to kind of let your spirit be free. And so I went from that kind of journaling to, just as like, it turns into this. So you can
Now
see
you're
how
not
big
so
and bold
timid
right?
about nature.
Say that again.
You're not timid about nature now.
Well, I think I'm not timid about putting things down on the paper now, down on the page. I've just become so relaxed and so free, and color and words and, just it's the process. I mean, you really, at first you're afraid of like what it's going to look like. How is it going to turn out? You know, is this going to be good? Can I show this ever to anybody? And you just get involved with the process, and you do it for yourself, so you're not worried about the outcome. And you know, you just keep going and going. And the more you do, the more you love it, the better, I think the better you get. But you
The
know,
thing is, okay, there's nature journaling, and we just talked about that. What about the journaling aspect of it, where you have like 35 journals that you keep?
well, yeah, well, I've got a bunch of journals over on the other shelf. I got a shelf over there with journals, and then the shelf behind me with the junk
When
journals.
you say journals, what do you mean?
Well, I can show you one. Let's see. So with these journals, now these are back when I was teaching environmental science at Reading Area Community College. So I was adjunct faculty at a college, and I was doing an environmental science course for the freshmen. And I gave them a project, and I told them that they had to keep a journal about everyday events that were happening in the environment. So, and every day there was something that showed up, just so they could connect their life to what was in the book. So if the book is teaching us about the poisons that are found in the environment, and then the newspaper has an article about something that was discovered, say down at the landfill or something, just to connect what's going on in their life to what was in a textbook, you know. So it's not just like, oh, you have to learn all the facts in the textbook. You need to learn about your life and how when your dog poops on the street in the city, that one, you're always talking about that. So we have these big journals, and I kept one along with the students. So there's a lot more writing in here, but everything is like a reaction to something that was going on. And you know, this one is about Earth species, but I'm also practicing my sketching in here too. So it's newspaper articles and then reactions to the articles, you know, and how they affect you. So I have a lot of things in birds that I was studying in here, but here we go. So this is about world disasters. So this was that terrible tsunami that hit Japan, and how it hit the nuclear reactor in Japan. And then, you know, the people, how it affected the people that lived there. So, and yet, if to open a student's eyes to be aware of what was going on in the world around them, to see, well, you know, it's a pretty secure facility, but a tsunami came, you know what I mean, and knocked it out. And how did that affect the people that lived around that reactor? And they can kind of relate that, well, we have a reactor that's only 10 miles away from the college. And so I just kind of bring everything into the world so they can, you know, acknowledge it that way. But then I get hurricanes in here. It didn't matter, anything environmental. And then I wrote a story. It was a dark and stormy night when the hurricane came. So, and these big journals, there's a lot more journaling when you think of writing as journaling. And then a lot of my journals are more visual, and some of them are just trash. So,
You know, I'm curious. So this you would call your journaling journal, like your journaling, but you have lots of them.
I've got a bunch of these, and I got a bunch of these over here.
Those are nature journals, right? The black one.
These are mostly nature journals, because I do have some art journaling in some of these. I have my my Danny Gregory sketchbook school journaling in some of these. I've got like 13 of these. 13 full. of these.
What kind of paper do you use?
Well, this is a really nice Strathmore 500 series.
Mhm.
Camera. And it's got almost like a faux soft leather kind of cover, and it's mixed media paper. A little bit of a tooth to it, but kind of smooth, and it just works really well for like a wash and pen and a little bit of watercolor. But I have done mixed media and acrylic and stamping and collaging in these journals too. These journals take a beat, and let me tell you, this mixed media paper is really, really nice. You can do a lot to this paper. Whereas this is just this is also mixed media, but not quite as nice as the Strathmore. But still, this is, this works good for what I was doing. I wanted a big format, but I did a lot of writing in these. So I did more writing when I was teaching, I guess. But I should get back to that and do more writing again.
Okay, so now that's a nature journal. There is the everyday occurrence that's wrapped into your life, sort of, and major events. That's one kind of journal, two kinds of journal. And now, what other surprises do you have for me?
Well, we did talk about the gratitude journal.
Oh, yes, let's go
Which was
through
the
that.
November journal. Now, this is made from an envelope that came in the mail. So this was a plain white envelope that came in the mail, and I painted it. And
I remember I saw that actually. Go ahead.
pages are just slipped in there. So it's called a travel style journal. I don't know why they call it that, but this is called a travel style journal, where you can pull the pages out and journal on them and stick them back in.
How do you take them out?
And this one is it's like almost all junk mail and trash. What? This is a go ahead.
How do you take them out and stick them back in? Do you have like a rubber band or something?
Yeah, it's just an elastic.
Right in the center.
There's two elastic. Well, actually, I think one's a shoelace because this is just a true junk journal. So whatever I had laying around. So this is a shoelace, and it's just fastened to the outside of the journal there. And it's threaded through and then comes out at the bottom down there, and I just have some buttons on it. And you can slip the pages out underneath here. So this whole thing will come out if I pull it. Right now they're so full of junk, it's hard to get them out right now, but you can just slip it under there and pull it out like that.
Now, why do you call it a gratitude journal?
Because this was November journaling, and this is just an activity that some people were doing. So during the month of November, like every day you would write down something you were grateful for.
Oh, I see.
So it was like giving thanks every day for something just very simple in your life. Now, this is a macaroni box, they come with the little windows in them, but it's painted so you can't see the macaroni. And then I put those flowers, I painted those flowers on black paper, and they're in the next page, see? So I'm giving thanks, and then got a page for Halloween. These are paint chip samples like you get at the big box stores like Lowe's and Home Depot. Right. You can get the paint chips, and I journaled on that. And then this, I don't remember what's under that black, but I wound up painting on it. Thankful for the rain and the flowers. And then this is from a Lipton soup box. Over here. And then these are pictures from my catalog, grocery store. And these are just This is junk mail. This reelect somebody, so and so, whatever, came in the mail, and I just use it for my election day page. And this is a junk mail envelope. This yellow envelope came in the mail. And the ice cream is from ice cream box from the freezer. And these trees are made out of the inside of security there. So like the inside of a security envelope. So I just cut strips and made trees. So everything in here basically is either junk mail or, well, except for this, I was journaling about my father because it was Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Day. Let's see what else is in here. Now I save old things, like you can use like greeting cards, people would just throw them out, or some people save them. I save them and cut them up. And I think so that would be like an old greeting card somebody gave me right there. And then this is a print I did. It's a mono print. Like I said, I just smash everything in there. So here's a package, the packaging from a bag of cranberries. And you can see the name, cover up all the reference to the packaging or the source of the material, where a lot of times I'll leave that. So you can see that this was actually a bag of cranberries there. And that was, I learned that from Linda D, from Linda's Mixed Up Mess. Now she doesn't have a channel anymore. She just passed away, but she was like the queen of the trashy. So I started my Trash Tuesday because of her. And a lot of the journaling in the big trashy, this one, is influenced by Linda D, where she'll just take the packaging like that and leave it and not cover it up with anything. Now I still have the whole back, which is the inside of the box, which I can journal on. I haven't done any journal, I don't like to call it journaling, journaling in here. I mean, I haven't journaled about anything in specific. So this is more sort of like an art journal, because you're just combining images and colors and patterns together and just smashing it all together. So this is one way that I do it. See, I do it all different ways, but you can clearly see all the packaging and stuff. Now I figure advertising companies and different commercial companies, I mean, they must have spent millions and millions and millions of dollars, right, on creating all these beautiful packaging every year. So it's art, and it's got to go in the journal. Chocolates, mashed potatoes.
That Idaho mashed potatoes actually has a back that you cut out, remember?
Yeah. So this is from a
music.
children's songbook, and the bottom is from a calendar. And on the front, I stapled about worker honeybees must visit 2 million flowers to make 1 pound of honey. And so that's why I have the honeybee illustration and then the flower calendar on there. So sometimes there is a method to my madness, like that all kind of goes together, maybe. Not always, but I like to find things sometimes that relate to each other, maybe, shall we say. And other times it doesn't matter. Now, I did show you that one page, though. It's like this, but I actually use it for memory keeping, and that was that great big giant one. Now, this is the mega journal. That is that big. And I made it
Where
so
did you
big
learn, Patty, where did you learn to put the books together?
to put the, yeah, I thought people were crazy making their own journals. I'm like, why would anybody want to make their own journal when, you can go to the store and buy a journal? Why do all that work? And it was through sketchbook school, actually. One of the teachers at sketchbook school, she liked to make her own journals for watercolor, because she liked a certain kind of watercolor paper for her sketching and her ink and things like that. So she always would buy the watercolor paper she liked and make a journal out of it. So I took a little course on how to put the journals together, with the spine and the sewing and the signatures. And I don't do anything fancy. I do it the easiest way possible in doing what they call a pamphlet stitch. And or just a travel style where you have the elastic and you just stick the pages in. And so it was just an online course with Sketchbook School. And there's all different ways of doing it, hidden spines and all this stuff. And I haven't gotten that far in my craft yet. But once I started making journals, because I started making journals because of junk journaling, because with junk journaling, you can create these awesome covers and incorporate everything onto the cover.
Why do you think they're mostly women that do this?
Well, mostly I think, mostly it's probably women. I don't know. It's now men certainly do journaling, and men certainly do art journals and sketchbooks. And with Danny Gregory's courses, there's a lot of guys that take it, maybe because he influences people to sort of, I don't know, are men afraid of putting down things on paper? I don't know. I'm not a guy, but it's the whole process of creating and sharing your process, and it's like exposing maybe your emotions when you're doing this. I don't know. Do you feel that men are a little bit more buttoned up and don't want to?
I have interviewed a couple of journalers, and I think they're men. I think they're Mateo was one of them, and then a friend of mine who I went to school with, Mel Andringa, was another one. Now they both both of them talked about journaling as journaling. They're very into journaling. Mateo had a journal where when he first met his partner, he had a journal that he created that he could go back to, putting wine corks and stuff like that in it. But he basically had, that was what started him off journaling. Mel, on the other hand, buys French journals, empty French journals that are a certain brand, and writes forward and backwards. Like he fills one going forward and then goes backwards. But they aren't art journaling, they aren't trash journaling, they aren't cosmic smash journaling, they aren't nature journalings, they don't seem to create. Then Mateo started taking off with more flower type things that he used AI to do. Anyway, I just find it very different. I find a group of women that are online on YouTube that do junk journals. And obviously you got your junk journal thing from D. What was her first name?
Linda D. Yeah, Linda D's YouTube
Linda
channel.
D, YouTube channel.
Okay.
How did you come
Yeah,
about, where did you get to Linda D's channel? Were you just looking through the?
I was just looking for people who journaled. Now, there's a lot of videos about people like you're talking about actually physically making journals. And I was actually specifically looking for somebody who was going to show what they put in their journal, who actually did journaling or art journaling or junk journaling, and then showed us what they journaled about, like how they were journaling about their life. And I just, just kept meeting different people that way, different videos and stuff. And I got to Linda D, and she was a big influence with the trash. And I really enjoyed taking the everyday objects and putting them in the journal. And they're in all my journals now, even nature journaling. Now, as far as men, though, I mean, John Muir Laws, I mean, he has a lot of guys, but this is nature journaling. And Danny Gregory has a big following, and a lot of guys follow him, but a lot of that is sketching. So I know a lot of artists keep journals, sketchbooks that they use, and then later, go back and refer to them, use them as reference for paintings and things. But do you think that maybe junk journaling is more like a cottage kind of craft, like crocheting and knitting, while there's some men who will do it, that mostly it's women in a cottage kind of craft?
Well, I know that a lot of women will have their children around and they will be doing it, and they'll be talking like Roxy Creations, she'll talk to her daughter while she's journaling and say, "Hey Lulu, what are you doing? Where are you going?" Maria, Annadora-arts, her daughter always wants to work with her. So maybe it's cottage industry in the sense that it's something they can do at home, something they can do with their children around, something they can do while making dinner, whatever. And it's incorporated into their life that way.
Yeah. And well, when you think about it, I mean, if you have a child, who usually does the baby book? The mom, right? The mom puts together, saves all the little things from birthdays and this and that, puts them together in a little memory book for the children. Usually it's the mother that does that, right? So, and a lot of women will make the photo albums and the scrapbooking albums and things like that for the family. So maybe it's just a tradition as far as women doing it. I mean, because men certainly do sketchbooks and nature journaling and art journals, but the whole idea of the junk journal, yeah, I guess it's the woman's thing.
Now, what about the fact that you talked about your childhood a little bit and your influences by going into New York with your folks or your dad or
Oh yeah, my father, yeah. Well,
talk about
my grandmother did have some art school background. She went to Kansas City Institute of Art. That's where Walt Disney went, was there. And he went to California and, was drawing cartoons in his garage. And he actually wanted some people from the school to come out and help him do these cartoons. And everybody thought he was like a little crazy. And like, what was he even doing, 1930s? So nobody that my grandmother knew went out and helped out Walt Disney. But I guess they would have been the founders of the whole Disney empire at that point, right? So my father, I think, was influenced by my grandmother. World War II, my grandmother was a cartographer. And then my grandfather had a publishing company with industrial type magazines like Plastics World and things like that, that you would never hear unless you were in the industry. And she did sort of lettering and photo touching. Well, back in the day, you'd get a black and white photograph and she'd sit there with this brush that was like 3 hairs fine and white ink and touch up the photographs to make them presentable to put into magazines. So I used to watch her do that, but when she retired, she took a course in like watercolor and stuff and sort of did more portraits and landscapes and things like that. And I used to sit under her art table when I was little, the smell of turpentine and oil paint, right? And she sold her work, mostly painted just for herself and the family, excuse me, but did sell some of her work. And then I get a drink. I always enjoyed art when I was a kid, but I never ever wanted to work at art because I thought art was play. And that if I ever got a job where I had to create something or do art, that it would sort of take all the fun and pleasure out of it. And I just always had that mindset growing up that art was something on the side that I would do for fun and for myself, but I would never want a job. So my sister, she became a graphic artist. So my father was also in sort of like graphic arts business. He did typesetting for publishers and things like that. But when I was young, he was taking courses at the Students Art League in New York City. I don't know if you've ever been there, if you're familiar with that. But so I don't know, I guess I was like 12. He lived in New York City and I lived in Connecticut, and I'd hop the train and go down to New York City to visit him on the weekends. And he'd take me over to Students Art League. And yeah, we go into the studio, and he was working on carving at that time. He was doing a marble statue. And he'd take me through all the galleries, and people would be painting nudes, and there'd be nude models everywhere. And so I kind of grew up with all this like in the background. And so I guess, and he always took me to the museums too. We went to Guggenheim and MoMA and all that. And so that was, I mean, it wasn't like something special. It was just like what the family did, you know? So, I mean, just thought everybody did it, you know? It wasn't like an extra special thing. It was just something constantly that we did. And I remember even once we went up, and my grandmother lived in Haverstraw, which is on the Hudson River. And then one day my father took me up in the mountains a little bit further. And it was this mansion, but I guess it was home to the Hudson School of Art. If you've been familiar with the Hudson School paintings back, what was that, like 100 years ago, where they did the landscapes of the mountains and the river and all that. And so, you know, I saw all that. I was up there in the Hudson Valley, and, you know, so he was always doing that. But so I guess he influenced me and my grandmother a little bit, my sister being a graphic artist. And so it's in the family. But
Well, I think it's very interesting that you went to the art league and you saw the Hudson River School, and also that you made it to the MoMA and the just the different influences of the museums and stuff like that, and that you thought art was play. I think that's a very important part of art, that it's play, and that you didn't want to do it as a job, because if you did it as a job, it would take away from the play of it. I think that's really good. And then later in life, you came and found junk journaling. So do you want to end with the Trash Tuesday and maybe the memory of Melissa D and
Linda D.
Linda D?
Well,
You
I
go
talked
ahead,
about
do whatever.
Trash Tuesday, this one where I just, you know, which is kind of like art journaling, where I take all the commercial art and put it in here in what I feel is a creative way, what pleases my eye. But in this journal, which is sitting in my lap, I took it in a different direction, where I took all the packaging and actually incorporated the family photos. And all of this is interactive. They open up, and there's my sister right there in the donut box, and her daughter over there. And then that opens up, and there's my sister, my trying to get it not to reflect there, my dad. And there's Pop-Tarts and cookies with googly eyes and more packaging and Dunkin' Donuts packaging over here. But then there's a picture of my friend over there. So I've taken this to the extreme on this is my son and his wife and the Drake's cake box there. And then I've got the donut box here that comes off. That's a magnet. It's supposed to come off. And everything is totally packaging, just like the other journal. But in this one, I've put family pictures. And so it's like memory keeping with the junk. Now I'm almost thinking about doing that to this journal and adding some personal things in here, like maybe some old photos or some old memories, and adding it to all the trash that's in here. And this one page is all woven with different pieces of packaging. And then, Linda D is in the nutty. Oh, and then there was the flower shaped journal.
Oh, yes. I do want to see that because I was really taken with the flower. Go ahead.
So this is made from peanuts and cookies, and it just has my nutty family and friends in there. So this one is another true trash. Well, there's junk journaling and trash journaling and true trash journaling. Everybody mixes up all these titles, but it's all the same. So this one is just all made from real, like this is wallpaper, an old piece of wallpaper. And these are like labels from pieces of scrapbooking paper. But this is Linda D. Let's show her picture. That's Linda D. And we called her the queen of the trashies because she was
she's awfully young. Did she die unexpectedly? Or?
Yeah, she passed away of cancer in her 50s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She's the one who influenced people to take the trash like this. See, if this wasn't a true junk journal, I would have to cover this with some pretty scrapbook paper. But this way you can see the actual artwork of the packaging. So this is her influence right here. So maybe a few years ago, if I made a journal out of a peanut box, I would cover this all up. Put some pretty paper on there or paint it or something, but to leave it as that, that is her influence. So that, I think that's the pop art aspect of it right there. You know, it's not a can of Campbell's soup, but you know, close enough. Andy Warhol, right? Now this was a wooden piece from the Dollar Tree, which is a little bargain store. And I did wood burning. And that's another thing. I do all kinds of crafts. I'll do sewing, I'll do wood burning, I'll try any kind of craft, sewing, if I can put it in a journal or if I could put on a journal cover.
Now, what is wood burning? Is that a wooden cover?
This is wood, and it was in the shape of a flower, but plain, just a piece of wood. And I drew those flowers, and then I took a wood burning tool, and can you see the little brown spots on there?
Yeah.
And I outlined my drawing with the wood burning tool very lightly. I didn't want heavy lines because I was going to paint it. And then I took acrylic paints and I painted in the flowers and the little bugs and things. Oh, you can see it on the white flower right there. Yeah.
Right.
And every page is shaped like a flower. Well, to make the journal, I made a cardboard shape on the back there, and then I had to build the spine. So I kind of like learn all this as I go along. You know, I've made journals so many different ways. I kind of teach myself as I go along, but every page is pretty colorful inside there. And people send me mail, happy mail. I get mail from all around the world, and we call it happy mail. So the junk journalists send each other happy mail, and they'll send me things postcards and ATCs and bits of ephemera, and then I'll make a journal page out of it. So like she sent me a card. Oh, this is a card from somebody. And she decorated the inside.
Now, are these
Washi.
people that watch your channel then that send you
Yeah.
Happy Mail? How do they get your address, by the way? Because I've heard about Happy Mail.
Excuse me?
How do they get your address?
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you?
usually they'll email me or send me a message on Instagram. Now, I don't post stuff like on Instagram and TikTok and all that other stuff. I usually just do, and I hardly put anything ever on Facebook either. Once in a while I do, but I usually just almost always on YouTube. But if people want to reach me, they message me. Same thing, just journaling with Possum Patty, but over on Instagram. Because on Instagram you can message each other. So, or on Facebook you can message each other without that. But I do give out my email in the about section, in the business section on my YouTube channel too.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I get, here's a carton from Root Beer. Actually it's butterscotch beer.
I've never even heard of that, but sounds good.
It's from the movie Harry Potter.
Oh, okay.
Flying Cauldron Butterbeer. So that's a pocket. I made a pocket out of it. It's the cardboard, you know, the soda bottles come in.
Well, that's what I
made a
like
pocket
about your
out of it.
work. Even your not tags, but how you do your pockets is something very different. They're big pockets, you know, and they have like a drawing of a wine bottle in them, or advertising of a wine bottle. I like it very much.
Thank you. Well, this is a pocket too. I colored the picture, and that's a pocket too. That whole page is a pocket. But yeah, so this is, or it's integrated into the page like this pocket. See, this is, somebody sent me this, and I made this fun little pocket there. It's in the design of the page. This one looks like a pot, and it's got these tulips in there. And that's my son and his friend on the back. So I journaled on the back, and I did this tulip picture on the front. And then this. And so the tulips in the background, this is a calendar. So I just love combining everything. See, I got feathers over here and ribbons, and I put everything, absolutely everything is game. Whether it's junk mail or packaging from the kitchen, or this is a decoration from a birthday party. Put that in there. I'll take anything, put it in a journal. We've got vintage cards.
Well, I like.
I get vintage things.
Does Dollar Tree have these very often? These shaped cardboard things. Did you make that pop up, by the way?
Yes, I did.
That's a very.
I
nice
call that
pop-up.
paper engineering.
Yeah, I know. That's a great pop up.
Yeah. Yeah, so they have different seasons, they have different things. So this haunted house is actually a wooden piece from the Dollar Tree too,
Ah,
that I painted. And I built the journal large so I could fit the house on the cover.
cool. Is that cardboard board?
This is a wood
chipboard?
piece,
Wood
and
piece.
the journal cover is just cardboard. I use the back of, you know, when you get big pads of like newsprint or pastel paper or something, it has a nice cardboard backing on it. You know, like the back. I take that off the big pads, and I use that for my journal covers.
Well, I
So,
know you use a Big Shot, and I know you make die cuts
die cuts, yeah.
out of packaging.
Yes,
which
yes.
is very interesting and very, very Trash Tuesday.
Yeah, Trash Tuesday, Bush's baked beans. Bush's baked beans is one of my favorite things to die cut. See that big B right there.
I see that.
That's a Bush's baked bean label I put in the die cut machine. Yeah, I'll put anything in a journal.
Well, it looks really good. And I'm going to look at, you said in one of them, in one of the links that I have that I went through again for the second time, you said that you had put a link to your art journals. And there were a lot of them. Is that correct? Am I correct on that? That you had put a link to your art journals?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. Well, the art journals are these.
right. And you put a
These, which
link to them, didn't you? So people could see them or not, or
yeah, there's a playlist. There's a playlist of those.
that's what I
Like I
thought.
said, there's 13 of these, and then a couple of smaller canvas covered journals. But there's I don't know where.
There's also smaller trash journals. Because I
Yeah, oh yeah.
remember when
Oh,
you
I have
went
a bunch
through,
of tiny ones.
yeah.
Can I show nudes? Is that allowed?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I joined the Berks Art Alliance when I lived in Pennsylvania, and just I was hanging out with a bunch of artists, artists who actually sell their work. And I would go to their workshops and I was actually learning from them. And we would do like plein air. So we go outside and they do beautiful oil landscapes and acrylic and watercolor. And I'd sit there with my journal, my sketchbooks, and I would sketch mushrooms. So I'd be sitting in the corner sketching a mushroom and they'd be painting grand landscapes. That's my bird clock. And they also did they did nudes, they did portrait sessions, so they had live models. And one day we had a live model, and she was pregnant. So I did a sketch, and then this is really funny. You see this? I colored this in to match this page, and these figures are from when I was in elementary school, probably, I have a date here, 1963. And the teacher made one of the students stand up in front of the class and slowly turn around, and we were supposed to sketch the student. Well, I told you about me going to the Student Art League with the nude models, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I sketched a student, I sketched him naked. And the teacher got very upset that I sketched the naked student. He wasn't naked, but that's how I sketched him.
Well, you had
So,
learned.
this is from 1963 when I was in elementary school. And this is what we did. So this is the original, and I put it in the journal. And I just thought I had to add this to the page about when we were sketching nudes in the at the Berks Art Alliance. so I was telling you about my background. So that was just too funny. It was so this is yeah. So this is more of the art journal. I didn't know if you could show that, but this is more of art journal. Oh, this is Roz Standall. Roz, that's the woman I learned to make journals from. Roz Standall. And this was also one of her workshops. I was doing some animal sketches, but she's the one who makes her own journals.
Mm-hmm.
Roz Standall. I can't remember how to spell it. It's Standahl, something like that. Roz. Yeah, so she's the one I learned to do a simple stitch and put the spine on and do all that. I learned that from her. So this one is more art journaling. So, you know, I'm not good at people. For some reason, people don't interest me that much to draw, but I tried to draw.
All right,
Um,
Debbie, we're gonna have to call it quits, but I love
Okay.
talking to you. If you want to do another session, I'm open to it. And it was wonderful. I'm glad we finally got a chance to finish our conversation. The internet connection wasn't great at times, but I think it was clear enough that we got
I hope so, because you blanked out a few times there, so I hope it recorded okay.
Yeah, I think it recorded okay. Okay, well, thank you very much. Have a
Well,
good
thank
day.
you.
Have a good Saturday.
I have
And
100 more journals if you want to talk again.
I would love to talk again. We'll have to do it again.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye, Ann.